with that, we roll on to number 4. We're praising the young talent and the domestic, non-imported talent. And then TSM comes in and says, we are going to put a roster together where all 5 players are from different countries, whether it's an import or where they're coming from. You got Korean top laner, an NA jungler. Great. You got an EU mid, you got an OPL AD carry, and then you've got a Chinese or Taiwanese support. They're covering all the bases here with this roster as TSM.
Hey, you might start calling Reggie Mr. International right now, the way that it looks for TSM. Good thing that one of the quote-unquote most successful North American organizations of all time is taking such an international approach. When you look at the TSM roster, when you consider a 4th place spot, right, in the power rankings ahead of the year, looking at it, you would have to be the most devout, most blind, most, absolutely strong-willed TSM fan to think that they'd be any higher than a spot like 3 or
strong-willed. That's the nice way. Yeah, the nice way to put it.
That's the friendly way to put it. Because everything we tried, every way we looked at it, every way we tried to be positive about this lineup, this was really the highest ranking that we could come up with. Because when you're talking about the, what you're looking at, when you're looking at Huni, when you're talking about the bot lane, all these questions that you still are going to have, let alone feeling positive about individual aspects of the team, how it's all going to come together is a huge question mark for TSM. And that's one of those ones where I don't care what your opinion is about someone like Huni, what your opinion is about, having lost as your ADC, whatever it's going to be, it's not going to matter, because at the end of the day, we've seen it with someone like Huni. It's going to be up to him, really, at the end of the day, how that performance is going to go. And you're only going to tell when you see it.
And it's a couple things that go right out the window immediately. They're the defending champs. Spica's the only one returning on the starting roster. Who cares? This isn't the TSM that, regardless, you're putting them as the favorites to win every year. It's not 2016, right? This is the first title they won in summer since 2017 summer. So 3 years almost. So they're not the big bad boys of North America anymore. And honestly, there's a lot of question marks on this squad. Lost and Spica have played together before. Okay, that's it. And then Huni, as you mentioned, who knows what version of Huni you're getting? That is the biggest and juiciest and boldest of question marks for me. But even Sword Art, how big of an upgrade is he going to be? He's going to be an upgrade over Bio or Treats for sure. But is he at the top of the table? Is he all of a sudden Vulcan and Core JJ's level? I'm not so sure he's just going to get dropped in and be at that level. And as much as we love and praise Bjergsen, as we should, the GOAT of NA, it's still his first split ever coaching. There's going to be some learning curves for him, because even though he's been the leader of TSM for so long, coaching is still different than playing.
It's going to be a big year, and maybe one of the years that you and myself finally really come to terms and are able to grasp it, and I think the rest of the community as well, is really what TSM is, right? Because they have such a historic history of success and dominance in North America. And then with the lineup that they had, right? The roster, still having a player like Bjergsen even playing on the team, someone like Doublelift last year, right? Rejoining. You still had to look at them and still heading to Worlds. We were talking about, whatever you're doing here, it's for the future, right? This isn't an immediate trip for trying to find success, all these other type of things. That is so different to what it had been in the past for a TSM, an identity, a mission. And that really is that signal to me that, you can't be looking at the past accomplishments, the successes, and giving them that pass of this is a successful, organization. They're destined. This roster has to do the same. You don't get those type of protections, those type of things anymore. It's all about what this individual iteration of TSM is going to be able to accomplish, what they're going to be able to push, what their upside, what their downside is going to be. Because you better believe with a team like this and how they're playing, I'm telling you, there's a lot of talent, a ton of talent that even if you have negative perceptions, you're going to have to admit, even in the past years, even in recent times, there has been successful performances from those individuals. Putting it all together, asking for it on the same day, asking for it week after week, very different question.
Yeah, and the ceiling is there. I think the potential is there for this roster, but Huni, Sword Art, are they playing at the higher level? Because Sword Art, we've talked time and time again, it's going to be an improvement. It's going to be good for TSM. But there were times in the LPL with Suiting, pre-Worlds, where, I mean, you weren't talking about him near the top of the table when it came to supports in the LPL. I know it's a stacked position, it's a stacked league, but he stepped up towards the end of the year. But he still had his inconsistencies throughout the regular season and playoffs, so even he might have some of those issues like we come to expect out of Huni. But that's not to say the majority of roles and players on TSM couldn't be top 3 or be all pro level in their positions pretty much everywhere, maybe even lost if he has an insane year.
And, I think the follow up, right, on the Sword Art part is looking at him individually and what he could bring to the roster and his level of play. Sure, you can expect, obviously, a lot of very high things from him, given what you've seen from him in the past year, or from his dollar amount on his contract. You can look at those either way you want to talk about it.
A lot of zeros.
Right, but at the same time, as you said, when you were looking at some of those times in the LPL where he maybe wasn't exactly sticking out and the communication wasn't always working, that's the thing that you're looking at with TSM, right? You're looking at a situation where maybe Sword Art is communicating something, wanting something to be done, something to be taken note of, or saying that I'm going in on this or whatever, and it's not followed up upon. It's not, read upon the right way. And look, we've already seen that with TSM before, talking about a 9-man Lily Asleep, talking about Bear and Pitsich. We've seen bad communication and someone being not on the same page. For someone like Sword Art, someone that is going to make those type of engages and be in, you need that backup. You need your team to be on the same page of what's happening at the same moment. Going to be a tough tell for TSM.
And one thing I feel like people don't put enough respect or talk about is Bjergsen retires, and then it's before Perks comes over to NA. It's like, there he is, Jensen, best mid in NA. And I'm like, what about Power of Evil? What about Power of Evil being coached by Bjergsen? Why is that not in the conversation to be the best mid, or now second best mid in North America behind Perks?
I think a lot of people, ourselves included, when the announcement was first initially made, were not disappointment's wrong, but the way that you were looking at the announcement, you were again maybe entering it with the idea of someone like Kadavov, someone like Sword, a young talent to put in there and be really green and have Bjergsen help mold and develop and work on potential. Someone like Power of Evil is completely different, but that still doesn't mean, as you said, having someone like Bjergsen, it's not like Bjergsen's going to be like, oh my God, you're playing this champion completely wrong and you build the wrong items. You suck. No, that's not how it's going to go. It's going to be, hey, I see it this way. I play it like this. This is, and to have that type of knowledge to bounce off of, absolutely. For a player like Power of Evil, someone with the intelligence that we've seen from Power of Evil in game, you better believe that having that as a resource is going to help him play even better. And as you said, I think I was in part of the camp that initially when Bjergsen retired, Jensen is immediately our number 1 mid laner. That is completely wrong, discounting what Power of Evil has done since he's come over to the region, the consistency that he has been able to provide. You look at the teams, you look at the firepower that they've been dealing with. I think if you evened the playing field between Jensen and Power of Evil, we'd be talking about them differently with Bjergsen retired.
And remember, PoE always has the trump card dealing with Bjergsen. Who got out of Worlds groups in 2017?
Hey, just slips on that Misfit sweater for one more chilly day. Oh, it's cold in here.
World's quarterfinalist. Yes. So he's always got the trump card if Bjergsen does speak up. But for now, TSM sitting at number 4 on our power rankings.